Andrew Meyers asks, how long were you a motorcycle instructor? Do you still ride?
Number one, I still ride, not as much as we used to because we have other ways that we travel. We have a motorhome and we get around with that, and a couple vehicles we drive around the country. I'm still a motorcycle instructor. In fact, when I get back in another few weeks, I'll have a motorcycle class next month, I think, April, my first class. So I'm still an instructor.
Tony C. asks, what is the most inspiring thing your son has done that you're most proud of?
Yeah,
so I suppose
I saw that
it
question.
wouldn't just be, okay, you don't have to limit it to me because you have 2 other sons, whichever one's your favorite. I don't care.
Well, you know what? I used to play a game when the kids were little. I'd put 2 of them on my knees and I'd say, this is my smart son, this is my short son, this is my tall son. I would just say different things as I bounced them on my knees. And, you like each child for a little different. What always amazed me, and I think Judy would probably somewhat agree with me, is each child is a little different. They're all raised exactly the same way. You can look at your own families, your siblings, or your parents, or whatever. You're all raised in the exact same environment, but each one of you think a little bit different. And as you get older and you look back on the past, like when my little sister and I get together, we'll talk about things, and I often kid her saying that she must have been raised in a different house because we remember things differently. But they're all favorites of mine in different ways.
All right, back to the question. What is the most inspiring thing that your son has done that you're most proud of?
The most inspiring thing my son has done is to follow his dream. He's had his dream since he was a little tyke. And we used to, in Italian, you would tell your child to fall nani, which means go to sleep. And so as he was very, very little, we'd say fall nani, and he'd put his head down on your shoulder, close your eyes. So we kind of put him out in front of people, and you know how you parents are proud. So we give his first dose to being out in front of people and not afraid to speak. But he's taken that, decided that's what he wanted to do, because his education is in English education and being a teacher, but he still teaches. He just teaches in a different way. And middle son is still a teacher in Texas, and he also is on the internet. Coach Pirillo, Adam Pirillo's not on the internet, or on YouTube. He plays games. He's more of a gamer. But the inspiring thing is he's followed his dream. That's the question.
Deb Corrin asks, is he, and that would be you, excited to become a grandpa?
Wait. Deb?
Deb.
Okay, so that's the first girl that's asked a question?
To this point, yes.
Okay, wait. There's this thing that I try to get all my kids to learn. It's called the Pirillo wink. And this is for you, Deb.
Hey.
Okay. And the question was?
Are we done being creepy? Is he, you, excited to become a grandpa?
Just as excited as I was the last 3 times. No more, no less.
Reece Lindsay McGowan, and I think this may also be a female, is the birth of Kris's baby to be as thrilling as the birth of Kris?
You know, that is a tough one because there's nothing like your own child, and there's nothing like being there for the birth of your own child. To be honest, it's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward, but I'm not sure if it'd be as intense as it was with my own, because I'm worried about Judy going through childbirth and that kind of thing. I'll be worried about Diana going through that as I was Amber. But again, there's nothing like your own child. But it'll be very, very exciting. I don't want to downplay that. We're pretty excited about it now.
From the live stream, Jesus Chavez asks, where in Texas have you visited?
Where in Texas? Judy, where have we not visited in Texas? No. We've been quite a bit of Texas. We've gone all the way down to San Antonio. We've gone to Dallas. We've gone to
Galveston,
Houston. We've gone to the
Waco.
space. Where? Waco. Yeah, we like Waco.
Been to West Texas.
West Texas, we haven't been to. Judy's saying that's right. We usually, if you took 35 south, we'd probably been through all the major towns all the way down to San Antonio and visited like the Alamo and crossed over. We've been to Laredo because we went across to New Laredo. So, in fact, Kris was with us on that trip.
David Stark asks, have you seen the 80s show, The A-Team, and did you like it?
That two different shows?
No. The
A-Team?
A-Team, yes.
He was the guy with the mohawk?
B.A. Baracus would be that character's name, yes.
So that's a new A-Team?
No. The old A-Team back in the 80s. Did you watch it?
I watched it. I wasn't a big fan of the A-Team. But if it was on and there wasn't something else I wanted to see, I would have watched it. It wasn't something I disliked.
Well, in relation to that question, we have a channel here
You
with
got all
our
nice ones.
content service provider that you can't get at home.
Yeah.
You've been watching a lot of shows. What have you been enjoying?
I like watching, like the other night we watched Bob Newhart, where he was the psychiatrist. That one, not where he owned the inn, but where he was the psychiatrist. Last night I watched an Untouchables, which was about the gangster days, the 20s. And I watched some of the old Star Trek shows, the old Captain Kirk Star Trek, which I'm a big fan of. In fact, Kris gave me, because I saw it, and I call our RV the Enterprise, and he had this thing when you walk by it, it goes shh, shh, like the door does, and I got that, and I could keep that in the RV now. And the new van we bought, I call the Galileo, which was a shuttlecraft off of the Enterprise. So, yeah, I like that one. Trying to think what else we've watched. I even watched Andy Griffith. I probably watched each Andy Griffith movie tens and dozens of times. Watched Leave It to Beaver. I think those are good. I think Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith, a lot of those family type shows are good parent training manuals, because the parents kind of run into some difficulties that people run into, and they can use that. Although there's some pretty good shows now, too, that we watch. Current shows.
Mark Osborne asks, what is the secret of keeping a relationship together for so long?
You have a sweet wife.
You have a sweet wife. And your life will be sweet. Did I ever show you guys? Look, Kris, I want to know which glasses you like. This is glasses number 1. See, it's kind of the modern one. It's got a little slick deal here. Or these. This one I like. It has kind of a thicker temple on it. But I'm wearing these to use. So is it glasses number 1 or glasses number 2?
Alex Smith asks, how many, and by the way, this question's coming from the live stream. How many states have you been to?
Alex, right? Alec. I'm sorry, Alec. Thanks for the question. We've never really done a count, but there's not many I have not been to. Judy hasn't been to as many of the states as I have because I was in the service. So I did a lot of traveling when I was in the service too, and saw a lot of states. But I would, if I had a guess, I'd say at least 30 of the 48 or 50.
All right.
Yeah, we've been to Hawaii, we've been to Alaska. So
this is also from the live stream. David Bates asks, and this may have been answered in earlier AMAs that you did in the other YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite Kris as a child or teen story? Or one that just springs to mind. Maybe not the favorite, but something like that.
David Bates. Hi, David Bates. You're not the Bates that owns the hotel, are you?
Motel, Dad.
Oh, is it a motel?
Motel.
Yeah. You don't want to. You want to stay away from that guy, if he's that Bates, but I don't think he is. And let me see the question again.
My God.
I'm old. I have a right to forget, right?
Do you have a favorite funny Kris as a child?
Yes,
or teen
I do.
story?
One day at home, we got this phone call, and it was our friend that lives it was way in the country in those days, but he says, I don't know if you know this or not, but Kris is over and he's down by the creek. And so I kind of wandered over there, and I walked on down to the creek, and I sat down beside Kris. I don't know what grade he was in, 7th or 8th, something like that, maybe
Fifth.
6th. Which, 5th?
Sixth.
6th grade. And I sat down and I started talking to him. Kris was always been a very good student, and he was a little concerned because, if I remember right, he hadn't finished a report yet. He didn't know quite how to write the report. So I'm just going to tell you what I told him. I said, well, what you do is you write the first sentence, and you write the last sentence, and everything in between is bullshit. And so that's the truth. That's the story I like.
Well, this stream just became PG-13.
Sorry.
And by the way, David responds and says, leave Uncle Norman out of this. Next question. Nathan Kotila asks, what Star Wars episode did you like the most?
I really like them all, but if I had to say a favorite, I'd say the first one that started it all.
Why?
Because that was where we went and stood in line, and the people that stood in line was myself and my son Christopher.
Really?
Yes.
I don't remember standing in line.
We stood in line.
I only remember one scene from Star Wars,
Yeah.
seeing it with you,
Yeah.
and that was X-Wings. That's all I remember. X-Wings
Yeah,
and
well,
TIE Fighters.
it would have been
That's
in
all I
there when they
remember.
were going to bomb the.
Yeah.
Get down in the.
I remember that vividly, but that's the only thing I can remember.
And then one time, you were still pretty young because we took you to daycare. I had you flown down to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we went and saw Battlestar Galactica at a movie theater. You know.
But we came in late.
Yeah, we came in late. Yeah. But it was fun watching that in the movie theater.
Yeah, and we ate at Beef and Burgundy.
Yes, beef and burgundy. That's exactly right. And we had to change motels because
I don't remember
we were
that.
going to stay longer. So the room we had, the people for the next people coming in were coming in. So I had to leave that motel and move to a different motel. So.
I remember going to Stone Mountain.
But you float. Yeah, we went to Stone Mountain. Kris, that was the first time he flew.
No, second time I flew.
Oh yeah. We took you on a
Cessna.
Yeah, on a Cessna. Judy, I, and Kris.
That was for my 5th birthday.
Yeah, because he used to like airplanes. We lived kind of close to the airport, and he reminded me of the guy on the island, Fantasy Island. Deplane, because he'd see the planes fly over to come in for a landing, and he'd say, "There's the plane." And he was short, so kind of like Yoda.
Kris Murray asks, what are your thoughts on beard transplants?
Beard transplants? Never heard of anything like that. I've never been able to grow a beard or a mustache. Well, I did have a pretty good mustache going one time, and then I went out and I think I had one too many, and I came home, and the next morning I shaved half of it off, and I've never tried to raise one again. So I can't grow a good beard. I can grow a beard, it just wouldn't be a good one. I have a nephew that has a pretty good one. In fact, he looks like the guy from Duck Dynasty. But implant, I wouldn't get an implant for a beard. I think, God gave me what I got, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
Jubert Lowe III asks, do you play video games?
Video games, I play some. My iPad has kind of become my game / surfing machine, because I keep it right on the end table next to the TV. During commercials, I'll use it, or halftime I might play a game or two. I like several different games. I like to fly, like flying airplanes and that kind of thing. I got one where you land on an aircraft carrier, one you fly around Las Vegas. I like those kind of games. And solitaire. There's a solitaire game I play too that I like.
Nicholas Humphrey asks, would you ever think about moving to Seattle to be close to Kris and Diana?
I would, but here's the problem. If you move close to try and be with your children, then what inevitably happens, you move there, you sell everything back home and you move, then you're there a year and then they move. So there you'll be stuck somewhere where you don't know anybody. Plus, you got to remember, we're at an age now where home is home. And I love to travel, and I can go and travel for a year or two, but I still need my home to come back to, and that happens to be Iowa right now. But it would be nice to live closer to all my sons. But right now it doesn't work that way.
All right. James Isles asks, what is your most memorable moment with Kris growing up? Or just one memorable moment. I guess this is somewhat in the same vein as the other question.
Yeah. Well, a good memorable moment, too, is we had this power plant, and we used to take this back road, and we'd go right by the power plant, and it had, like, the chimneys real high and smoke come out of it, and the dam was there and all that. And we're driving it by one time. Kris was a little guy, and he was standing in the middle. This was before seat belts and seat belt laws. But he was standing in the middle with his hand on my shoulder, and he asked me, what's that? And I try to explain to him what it was, like, well, you know, back home when you plug something in and it runs, or plug the TV in, that's what makes it work, or the radio, or any of that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, real seriously, he looked at me, he says, you mean that's where they make electricity? And I just always caught me, because I didn't think of it, to explain it in the simple way, because that's what it was. That's where they make electricity. Would have saved my long explanation.
Robert Simmons asks, do you see your son as someone who changes how we see tech? Let me say it again. Do you see me, Kris, as someone who changes how other people perceive technology?
I think he gives his opinions, and I think he has strong opinions on some things and not so strong on the other. I think he kind of leaves it up to the individuals as to what they really like, because that's the important thing on any piece of technology. Do you like it? If you like it, it doesn't make any difference what anybody else thinks. But I think he is an influencer, because I think people value his opinions, because he's pretty honest. And actually, some of the things he talked about when we were doing gnome dexes, some things he would talk about during those years before they happened. So he's pretty well on the cusp of things.
I'm impressed that you used the word cusp.
Me too, because I wasn't quite sure if that was the right. Don't ask me to spell it. That would be awesome mistake.
All right. Hayden McLennan asks, and feel free to answer however you want. What did you first think of Diana?
The very first impression? What is she doing with Kris? No. I thought she was very pretty. She was very mature in her thought processes and everything. And she seemed to know where she wanted to go. And for sure, we felt she really loved Kris, which to us at that point was the most important thing.
Cole McNamara asks, have you seen Doctor Who?
No.
Ah!
I've never watched Doctor Who. I know it's on the back home. I think it's on PBS.
I don't know.
British broadcast.
Well, it would be BBC.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's BBC.
Okay. Would you start watching Doctor Who?
Well, I'm not sure really what Doctor Who's about, so I'm not sure if I would watch it or not. That's where Superman comes in.
No, Dad. This is not where Superman comes in.
Well, sure, there's a telephone booth.
Oh, Dad. Oh.
Does Superman go in Clark Kent? He goes in this way as Clark Kent, comes out here as Superman.
You are hurting me so much right now.
Is this where he goes down? He gets in
No.
and goes down? Oh.
No.
Whoops.
Don't break my TARDIS.
I'll have to watch one. I haven't watched one yet.
Joe Ayers
Hi, Joe.
asks, yes, what?
I said hi, Joe.
Have you recovered after trying out Windows 8?
Oh yes, and I've looked at some other things on Windows 8. In fact, I told Kris when I come out this time, I was thinking about getting an inexpensive laptop with Windows 8 on it once the most current Windows 8, like I think it's 8.1 or whatever, is on a machine, and then play with it more in depth than I have. Because usually, like if I go to a Best Buy or Costco or Walmart, and they got computers out there, they usually have Windows 8, and I go play with it a little bit. And it's kind of interesting what you learn just when you do that.
Susan Pittman asks, what are you most afraid of?
I'm afraid I'll lose XP.
Okay. There's nothing else that's worse than that.
Horses.
What?
Horses.
Oh yeah, I'm afraid of horses, because when I was a little kid, they used to come around with horses, and they'd have cowboy outfits. They'd put the kids in cowboy outfits, and then you'd sit on the horse, well, it was a pony, and they would take your picture. Well, the horse bit me, and ever since that day, I haven't been on a horse. I'll go next to him, but I won't get too close to him.
How did you get into quote-unquote modern technology?
Because I met this influencer, my son Christopher, and I watched what he did, and I watched my other sons do it. And anytime we'd go out, the first thing they did would take their phones out and they'd start doing all this stuff with this and this and this. And that was quite a few years ago, and we finally decided to start doing that. And now we're just as bad as our sons were.
All right.
And when we take them out as soon as we sit down.
Deanna Pirillo asks...
Oh, that's a nice name, Deanna.
Yes.
I like that.
Deanna Pirillo asks, what do you think of Patreon?
Patreon. I did notice it was like at $4.19. $4.19. And I told Kris if it was $7.19, that would have been my birthday, July 19th. So if you want to send presents or give me a present to support my son on Patreon,
I think
we can get to
yeah,
$7.19.
Right, okay. The question I think was really, what do you think of that model or the model that we're using?
I think it's a good idea because it's an inexpensive way. You pay for everything you have. You may watch free TV you may have an antenna, not antenna channel, which I love, but an antenna, either small one hooked to your TV or outside still, and get a lot of stations now. But I don't. You pay for that because they advertise things. You buy those products, and the fact you buy those products gives those people money to put into the TV shows to promote those products. This way, you don't even have to worry about the advertising to an extent as much as you do when watching TV. You can support the people you want to support. The people that you value their opinions should be worth a few bucks a month.
Richard Arkless asks, whose idea was it to introduce Kris to Star Wars, and does that person regret it now that he has got such an unhealthy, quote-unquote, addiction to Darth Vader?
Well, be honest, I'm not sure what the addiction to Darth Vader is, but I'm responsible. I'm a sci-fi fan, so, and I suppose this Doctor Who, is he white sci-fi too? See, I'm not into that one. Maybe I should watch it just to see what it is. I'm more into the Star Trek, original Star Trek. I don't like the newer ones.
Stuart Owen asks, what is your favorite pizza?
The one that's in front of me.
Sarah Elvin asks, Game of Thrones or Walking Dead?
Andy Griffith.
Colton Sanders, and this may very well be the last question. What is your favorite sports team and why?
my favorite sports team would be the Chicago Cubs. I'm a big-time Iowa Hawkeye fan. Football, I like the Detroit Lions. But if I had to take all my sport teams and put them together, I would have to say a Cubs fan. And the reason that is because when I was growing up, all my friends wanted to be Yankee fans. We're from New York. Well, being the Contra type person I am, I didn't want to be a Yankees fan, so I became a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. Well, then when Brooklyn moved to Los Angeles, it made me mad, so I dropped being their fan, picked up the Chicago Cubs, and I've been a Cubs fan ever since. So that had been in the 50s.
You good?
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You feeling okay?
Yeah,
You feeling
absolutely.
this?
I feel terrific. How you feeling? How you feeling, man?
All right. Well, that is enough from Dad. Thank you.
Bye. Oh, wait, for all the girls out there.
Yeah, we don't want to forget about the bit of creepiness there with the whole winking thing. I'm not going to wink. I will do my best to school Dad on the value of a TARDIS. I don't think he's going to be disappointed if I show him the right
I know someone's going
Doctor
to
Who
Galapagos
episode.
Islands.
What?
Someone's going to Galapagos Islands to see the TARDISes.
The what?
The TARDISes, them things with the big shell.
Okay, Galapagos, number one. Number two, those aren't TARDISes, they're tortoises.
Oh, I knew it was something like that.
You see what I gotta put up with here? Ow, that kind of hurt. I was trying. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to yet another live broadcast. I want to go ahead and run through a list of names. Oh, don't look at my password. Undistract them. That wasn't much of a distraction. Wanted to, give credit where credit's due for everybody who's supporting me on Patreon with 419 patrons happening right now. If you want to join us, you can, and you'll get your name in every TLDR broadcast. Thanks again to everybody who values me more than their favorite beverage once a month, because that's really what it takes. It's a new way of creating content online in a much more sustainable way, I can tell you that, and it really speaks volumes. I appreciate everybody's support out there, but when push comes to shove, ultimately, I'm looking for ways to do what I do and do it better than the way I'm doing it now. And the only way I can effectively do that at this stage is through patrons like these people that you see floating behind me on this virtual, well, no, it's a physical screen, but it's a screen to you as well. This is just the beginning. I wasn't even intending on doing TLDR broadcasts, the LockerGnome Daily Report, which today wasn't so much geek news and gadget views other than, a Lego TARDIS. This is a gadget, right? Okay, maybe it's just geeky. As much as it was answers that you might be able to use from my dad, and, if you didn't know what he was thinking before, now you do. We only did this because we reached a level of patrons that, I thought we could hit in a reasonable time. When we hit 500 patrons, I'll be uploading my What's on My iOS Device video for everybody to see. Until that point, though, I'll be recording and letting the patrons see that video ahead of time. So if you want special bonuses on top of all the other stuff I might be doing for you, or, the things I might be bringing to you, because I didn't do this last broadcast here. That was primarily my dad. All you have to do is head over to patreon.com/Kris Pirillo, or a shortcut, KrisPirillo.com. And if you do not yet know how to spell my name, you can Bing it if you want. Alta Vista. Lycos. Okay, Google, fine, if you want. Thanks again for remembering to like, comment, share, subscribe. And by the way, when I talk about all this stuff, it really does mean a lot to me. I do review comments. I do see comments. I do follow up. In fact, every day we find a really good comment or a good question, screen cap it, and then share it forward. We put it on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and beyond. So, it's really the way that I choose to approach this particular venture. And so, yeah, I'm just saying, what you do and what you say and how you participate absolutely matters. And I've proven that every step of the way. So hopefully you see that as well. So now that you're finished watching this video, well, you are more than welcome to watch even more of our videos right now. We'll see you later.